The dish that I chose to make for this project is an egg, ham, and cheese sandwich. So when I was reading this project and I was reading, it was saying to make something that's important to you and your identity based on your culture. So the culture you said can be explained vaguely, and I would consider this as like my family culture, not necessarily because I'm Hispanic and Cuban. So not necessarily my Cuban culture, because I was thinking to make something like a pan con bistec, which my grandmother makes a lot for me, but I just don't feel personally connected to it as I do with this, and I'll explain to that, because as you know, an egg, ham, and cheese sandwich could be weird to be kind of related to. But as I was growing up, I always had problems eating, especially in the morning, especially when I woke up. I never wanted to eat, but I was a very active kid, as was my brother. We were always playing baseball tournaments, always traveling, and this was always something my mom knew that I would be able to eat in the morning. For some reason, this was my go-to thing that I could always eat in the morning, and it actually ended up working out too, because whenever we were away traveling for baseball, at Dunkin' Donuts, I would get an egg, ham, and cheese croissant sandwich, which is what I have today, is a croissant. It wasn't always on a croissant, but that's the way that I preferred it, which, made it better for me. But yeah, that's the dish that I chose today, and it closely relates to me personally, and it's actually something that my mom will still make for me to this day, which she really doesn't cook often for us. We're grown now, me and my brother, so we mostly just make our own meals. My grandma will also cook for me, but my mom would mostly make this for me still to this day, so it's something I feel like we could always bond over. Pretty much it's me, my mom, and my brother, so us three is something that I feel like, as dumb as it is, we bond over. And I already have 2 eggs here. I prefer them scrambled, so I just like to put them aside. I'll scramble them now, put some salt and pepper, and I'll get back. So I got the egg scrambled. I scrambled 2 eggs, put some salt and pepper in there. When my mom used to make this, she used to just put a bowl on the side and throw whatever was going to be in there. Sometimes she would put ham, sausage. I was very picky, so I mostly just wanted only ham. But as I got older, she started throwing more things in there, and then when I started to make it, I started to throw some other things in. But for today, we're just going eggs, salt, and pepper. I don't have any ham, but usually I would throw some ham in there. But today, this is all we have, and we're going straight onto the pan. So we got the egg on the croissant now. We threw a slice of pepper jack cheese there. And what I like to do sometimes is put some butter on it's like a little George Foreman grill, but just to kind of press it up and get it a little more warm, the bread and the cheese. I like to put it on this grill here. Put it down there for about 10 seconds. And this is actually something that I got from how my mom used to make it as well. I definitely used to always liked it, and it was pressed down, and the cheese was melting, and the croissant was hot. This right here is the finished product. The famous croissant sandwich. Hot, cheesy. This was my go-to to eat when I was little. I can't explain how many times that I used to eat that growing up, and still to this day. I mean, I believe the last time I ate this was earlier this week. I still eat this very often, so I feel like this was something that mostly relates personally to me as far as food goes. This is something that whenever I think of this or eat this, and still, to this day, whenever I go on trips or something and I eat Dunkin' Donuts, I always get this, and it instantly flashes me back to every day eating this growing up, going to tournaments, playing baseball, and this was the thing that I would eat, because nothing else would go down, or I would have the appetite for nothing else. So this is definitely something that relates the most personally to me, even more than any Hispanic food or any other type of food from where I come from. This to me would mean more than that, because I have more personal relation towards it. I don't believe Telfer would consider this art as far as this croissant sandwich goes. A big reason that I don't believe it would be considered art is because there's not much when it comes to the preparation and to the creativity of it. It's very subpar. It was mainly something that my mom figured out that I love to eat. So I guess it was not more the presentation, or it was more the use of it. It was food, just so something that I could eat, because I wouldn't eat breakfast hardly ever. So when she came across just making me egg sandwiches, and I liked it when it was hot and cheesy and warm and all these things, and when she found that out, she would just make it as much as possible so I could get something to eat. So I don't believe that this would pertain as art. I don't see any advantage as to where this could be called art, mostly because this to me was something that it was for me to eat. It wasn't something beautiful, but it does make me feel a certain type of way, especially in relation to if I was to make this now. Even now when I just made it, it does flash me back to my childhood, and it makes me think about that. So as that pertains, as the way it makes me feel, yes, but it was not be considered an art, and I don't believe Telfer would argue that this would be considered an art.